For 24 years, she silenced attorneys and ruined lives. But today, the tables would turn. In a shocking twist, Judge Meredith Langford found herself in handcuffs inside her own courtroom. The air inside the Jefferson County Courthouse in Birmingham, Alabama, felt thick. Not from the southern humidity, but from something heavier, an unspoken truth that had lingered in those walls for decades. Everyone who stepped through those towering oak doors knew the rules in Judge Langford's courtroom. She was the kind of judge who barely glanced over her reading glasses, her sharp eyes cutting through attorneys like they were mere irritations. She never raised her voice, yet her authority crushed anyone who dared to challenge her. For 24 years, she had ruled with an iron grip, leaving behind a legacy not once celebrated in law schools, but whispered about in hushed conversations, especially by black attorneys. Because when their cases landed in her courtroom, they already knew how it would end. But today, that pattern was about to be tested. Darnell Hayes walked into the courtroom, his polished shoes clicking against the marble floor. At 48, he had built a career on taking cases no one else wanted. His reputation stretched far beyond Alabama, and his ability to dismantle prosecutions had made him a target for people like Langford. But he never backed down. And today, he had something she never saw coming. As he approached the defense table, he caught the look in her eyes. She already hated him. Not for what he said, not for what he did, but for who he was. This case wasn't just about his client, Tyrone Wilkes, a man falsely accused of armed robbery. This was about justice, and he wasn't leaving this courtroom without making that clear. "Mr. Hayes," Judge Langford said, barely looking up, "you're already on thin ice in my courtroom. Don't waste my time today." Darnell tightened his grip on his briefcase, but kept his face unreadable. "I'll try not to, Your Honor," she smirked. "Good. I have a full docket. I don't need theatrics." The trial began, but it wasn't a trial. It was a performance, and Langford played the starring role. Every objection Darnell raised, overruled. Every time the prosecutor stumbled, she guided him like a teacher helping a favorite student. The jury noticed, the gallery noticed, but no one dared say a word. Except Darnell. He studied her, the way her lips curled when he spoke, the way she barely concealed her contempt. This wasn't just bias, it was something worse. But the courtroom didn't know yet that he had spent years preparing for this moment. "Your Honor," he said, his voice steady. "The prosecution just introduced evidence that was not disclosed in discovery. That is a clear violation of Brady v. Maryland. I move for an immediate mistrial." Langford leaned back, adjusting her glasses with exaggerated boredom. "Denied." Darnell blinked, not in surprise, but in strategy. He let a beat of silence hang in the air. Then he spoke again. "To be clear, Your Honor, you are refusing to acknowledge a Brady violation?" Her lips pursed. "I said denied, Mr. Hayes." The courtroom shifted. The jury members exchanged glances. The gallery whispered. Even the reporters scribbled faster. Langford saw it too. Her eyes darkened. "You are dangerously close to contempt, Mr. Hayes." Darnell tilted his head. "For what, Your Honor? Asking the court to follow the law?" Her gavel slammed so hard it echoed. "That's enough. One more word, and I'll have you removed." The courtroom fell silent. Darnell could hear his own heartbeat. And then the doors swung open. 2 federal agents in dark suits strode in, their movements crisp and deliberate. The room froze. Even Langford stiffened. One agent flashed a badge. "Judge Meredith Langford, we need to speak with you immediately," she scowled. "I am in the middle of a trial." The agent didn't flinch. "It cannot wait." The gallery erupted in whispers. The young prosecutor, Philip Calloway, cleared his throat. Should we take a recess, Your Honor?" Langford clenched her fists. "No, the defense has wasted enough of this court's time. We have a warrant for your arrest." A gasp rippled through the courtroom. For the first time in 24 years, Langford lost control. Darnell sat back, letting the moment breathe. He had been waiting for this. He turned to the jury, then the gallery, then finally to her. "Your Honor," he said, voice calm, "I believe you just denied my motion for a mistrial. But it seems this trial is now the least of your concerns." Langford's face drained of color. The agent pulled out a folded paper. "Meredith Langford, you are being arrested for bribery, abuse of power, obstruction of justice, and violation of civil rights." The courtroom exploded in voices, some shocked, some delighted. Langford turned to Darnell, her voice laced with rage and disbelief. "You," she spat. Darnell lifted his chin. "This is justice." As the agents cuffed her wrists, the courtroom watched, mesmerized. For 24 years, she had sat in judgment. Now she stood before the very system she had abused. And just like that, she was gone. A stunned silence lingered. Darnell exhaled, then turned to Calloway, who gripped his notes like a lifeline. "Your Honor," Darnell addressed the new judge, "given these developments, I move for an immediate dismissal of all charges against my client." The new judge, a man known for fairness, nodded. Motion granted. Tyrone Wilkes, still in handcuffs, turned to Darnell, disbelief in his eyes. "Man," he whispered, "I thought people like her never paid for what they did." Darnell glanced at the empty judge's bench. "They do," he said, "because today justice had finally arrived. If you found this story shocking, make sure to subscribe to Unfolded Tales Explained and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.